everyone, I'm Gabriel B. Española. Pandas, used for data manipulation and analysis. Seaborn, used for creating attractive and informative statistical graphics. Matplotlib, used for creating static, animated, and interactive visualization. Sklearn.dataset provide the load_iris function to load the iris dataset. Load_iris dataset, returning a dictionary-like object with case-like data target names. pd.dataFrame convert the dataset into a pandas data frame with feature names as column headers. Iris.add the target variable to the data frame. Map.it takes a dictionary as an argument where the case represents the original values and the values represent the new values that should replace them. The map function is a pandas method that replaces the values in a series according to a given mapping. Iris.head displays the first 5 rows of the data frame. For the iris dataset, each feature, sepal length, sepal width, typically has a count of 150, indicating that there are 150 observations for each feature. If the mean of sepal length is 5.84, the average across all 150 samples is 1.84 cm. A high standard deviation indicates that the data points are spread out over a wider range of values, whereas a low standard deviation means they are clustered closely around the mean. This is the smallest value observed in the data set for a particular feature. This gives an idea of the lower range of the data. The median divides the dataset into two halves. If the median sepal length is 5.8 cm, half of the flowers have a sepal length shorter than and equal to 5.8 cm, and half have a longer sepal length. This represents the upper range of the data. This is the largest value observed in the dataset for a particular feature. Iris.isNull.sum. Check for any missing value in the dataset. Iris.dtypes displays the data type of each column in the data frame. Plot64. Column sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. These columns are of the type plot64, which means they contain floating points number. Object species. The species column is of type object, which in pandas typically indicate that the column contains text or categorical data. Features define a list of feature name for which histogram will be created. fl.figure create a new figure with a specified size of 12 inches by 10 inches. For I feature and enumerate loops through each feature to create a histogram. plt.tight layout adjust the spacing between subplots to prevent overlap. pl.show display the plot. Observe the shape of each histogram to understand the distribution of the feature values, the range of values, and how they are distributed across bins. Whether the distribution leans toward one side, any unusual spike or gaps, and the histogram could indicate outlier or unusual date points. SNSScatter is a Seaborn function that creates a scatter plot. T that title set the title of the scatter plot to steeple length versus speed. PLT that show displays the plot. This command is necessary to render and visualize the plot in your output or graphical interface. The x-axis represents sepal length. The y-axis represents sepal length. Each point on the scatter plot corresponds to an individual iris flower in the dataset. Different colors represent different pieces of iris flower. Different marker style further distinguish the species. SNS.pair plot is a Seaborn function that creates a matrix of scatter plots for all pairs of numerical features in the data frame. PL.subtitle adds a supertitle to the plot. PLT.show display the plot. This command render the figure so that you can view it. Sepal length versus sepal width. You might see cluster or pattern that help identify how sepal length and width are related for different species. Petal length versus petal width often show a strong correlation, especially for distinguishing species like Iris virginia from others. SNS heatmap. Create a heatmap to visualize the correlation matrix. Heatmap use color that represent data value, making it easier to identify pattern and relationship. PLT.title add a title to the heatmap. The title provide context for the visualization. PLT.show renders and display the heatmap. A data frame where each cell represents the correlation coefficient between feature I and feature J. Petal length and petal width. The heatmap might show a high positive correlation, suggesting that as petal length increases, petal width also tend to increase. Features. Define a list of feature name for which histogram will be created. PLT.figure create a new figure with a specified size of 12 inches by 10 inches. For I feature enumerate loops through each feature to create a histogram. PLT.types layout adjust the spacing between subplots to prevent overlap. PLT.show display the plot. Observe the shape of each histogram to understand the distribution of the feature values, the range of values, and how they are distributed across bins, whether the distribution lean toward one side, any unusual spike or gap, and the histogram could indicate outlier or unusual data point.